Okay, today we're going to be discussing orders of operations. Orders of operations is simply the way that we have come to decide how to solve math problems. Okay, we remember orders of operations with an acronym of Gedmdas. Gedmdas. Now, I write the acronym like this: grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, whichever comes first from left to right. That's why this arrow is important. Whichever comes first from left to right, and then addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. Okay, groupings can look like parentheses. You'll see some of those. You'll see absolute value. And then the last one you'll see is brackets. Right? Brackets take place when there's parentheses inside of parentheses. So instead of doing two parentheses, we change the outer parentheses into a bracket. Exponents, is just a number that's to the upper right of the variable or number or parentheses. Multiplication you can see with a dot, you can see with an X, and you can see with just a number outside of parentheses. Division, you're going to be able to see that with a division sign, with a slash, and also with a regular division sign. Okay, in addition, luckily there's only one way to show that, and subtraction, there's only one way to show that. Alright, now this is the checklist I want us to write down every time we do an orders of operation problem. Gedmdas: grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, whichever comes first from left to right. Addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. And that's how we're going to do it. Our first problem is, we're going to go over 4 or 5 examples. Okay, our first problem is right here, is going to be 5 plus 2, 8 minus 6 divided by 3. And I'm always going to write down Gedmdas. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is look for grouping. Okay, this is our checklist. Grouping. Do we have a grouping? Yes, we do. We do have parentheses, but we have to see if there's anything to simplify inside these parentheses. Is there anything to simplify? No. 8 is as simplified as it can get, so we're good there. Exponents. There are no exponents to work through, so we're good there. Now, multiplication, division. I see multiplication and I see division. Remember, 2 times 8 and 6 divided by 3. So I'm simply going to write down everything I don't do, or every operation I do not evaluate. So it's going to be 5 plus 16 minus 6 divided by 3. I do not want you to do more than one operation at a time. Okay? Do one operation at a time. Do not do multiplication and division on the same row just because you say, oh, it's on the same row of our checklist. Do only one operation, so that's 2 times 8, which is 16. Now we come down, we write everything down again. 5 plus 16 is subtracted by 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Then we do addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. I see addition, I see subtraction, I see addition first, so that's going to be 21 minus 2. Okay, so 21 minus 2 is 19. Always box your answer, and you can see I work from top to bottom, only doing one operation at a time. Alright, let's move on to our other problem, or another problem I should say. Okay, so now we have and we're just going to do the same thing we did with the first problem. We're going to write our checklist. Get used to writing it. One reason I want you to write it every time you do one is because it's going to help you to memorize the order of operations. Alright, you're going to write it down. You're going to use it as your checklist. And as you write it, say it to yourself. Okay? Check it off as you go along, and it's going to help you by the end of the unit. You should have it memorized, and you should be able to do it. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do is scan for groupings. Are there any groupings? Yes, there are. Okay, do we have anything to simplify in the groupings? Yes, we do. We have -3 plus 1. Well, -3 plus 1, the signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. So that's going to be 2, but it's going to be a -2 because I always take the sign of the bigger number. So that's -2 squared minus 12 divided by 3 minus 2. Alright, now all the groupings are taken care of. Exponents, are there any exponents? Why, yes, there's one exponent. So we're going to work on our exponent. -2 squared. -2 squared is 4. 4 minus 12 divided by 3 minus 2. Now we have to see if there's any multiplication or division. Yes, there is division, so we're going to knock that out first. It's going to be 4 minus 4 minus 2. Alright, so we have 4 minus 4, which is going to give us, well, first of all, let me go to my checklist. Addition and subtraction. I see 2 subtracting lines. I always work left to right, so I'm going to do 4 minus 4 first and get 0. And then I'm going to do 0 minus 2, and I'm going to get -2. Always box your answer. Always box your answer. So that lets me know this is my final answer. You see all these numbers here? This number stands out because it has a box around it. Alright, let's move on to another problem. Alright, let's say we have 12 minus 3 times 3 minus 1 squared minus 5 plus 2. Alright, now here we go. We're going to start our checklist all over again. I write it down every time for each problem. Grouping, say it to myself, exponents, multiplication, division from left to right, addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. Now, do I have any grouping? Yes, I do. I have parentheses here. Okay, so I'm going to work through the parentheses. 3 minus 1 is 2. I write everything down again. Make sure I do not drop anything in this. Sometimes can cause you the biggest trouble. I forgot to write the plus 2. I forgot to write the minus 5. We have to be very particular about what we write down. Okay, so now the next thing, do we have any exponents? Yes, we do. 2 squared. Okay, so 2 squared is going to be 4. You can leave that in parentheses. Write everything else down as you see it. Multiplication and division. What comes next? Is there any multiplication? Yes, there is. There is multiplication between the 3 and the 4. Alright, so we're going to do that first. So this is going to be 12 minus 12 minus 5 plus 2. Alright, one operation at a time. That's all we do with each line. Now, we're going to see if there's any division, no division, one multiplication. Now we do addition and subtraction, whichever comes first from left to right. 12 minus 12 is 0. 0 minus 5 is -5. -5 plus 2 is -3. There you go. Alright, that wasn't too bad. If we go through our checklist, if we do one operation at a time, no matter how many steps it takes, we can break this down and make it very easy. Alright, remember you're only doing one operation at a time. It looks more daunting than it actually is. Alright, we're going to do one with brackets. We're going to do one with brackets. Remember, brackets are groupings that take the place of parentheses. And you'll see that this problem also has parentheses inside the brackets. We do not want to write parentheses inside of parentheses, so we simply do the brackets. Whew, it's getting close there. It's getting close. Come on, Mr. McGee. Alright, so now we have, whoa, what's that? We have two groupings. We have two groupings. So you always work what? Left to right. So we'll do the grouping on the left first. Alright, so when you go inside of a grouping, you go back to the beginning of the operations. So we're in grouping, so now we go inside the grouping, inside of here. We're inside of this bracket, and we start back from the top. Is there any grouping symbols inside of the grouping symbol? Yes, there is. There's 2 sets of parentheses. Now you ask yourself, is there anything to simplify inside of those parentheses? No, there's not. So those are fine. So now we move on to see if there's any exponents. Are there any exponents inside this group of brackets? No, there's not. So now we can move on to multiplication, division. Is there any multiplication? Yes, there is. Parentheses by parentheses means multiplication. So now we write down everything as it was. Plus -4. Hold that bracket there. Give myself maybe a little more room this time. And I did. Look at that. We did a little bit better, right? So now let's see what happens. We have -6 plus -4. Oh, that's pretty easy. Signs are the same. We're going to add them up and take the sign in a bigger number. It's going to give me -10. Now we could write that in parentheses, right? Minus. Now I'll work on this side. My next group. My next grouping. That's just regular 8. Alright, what is 8 plus -7? The signs are different, so we're going to subtract. That's going to leave us with 1. 1 in parentheses. So -10 minus 1, and we get -11. And that's not the answer until we do what? Yes, we have to box it. You guys are great. Alright, now let's move on to our last example of the day. This might be the most difficult one. Well, we'll do 2 more. We'll do 2 more. Alright. So this one has brackets as well. Get that out of there. We'll have 5 minus, inside the bracket, we have 4 plus 2 times 2 to the 3rd power divided by 10. Alright, now, okay, first thing we have to do, is there groupings? Yes, there are groupings. We're going to go inside our grouping. Are there any groupings inside of the groupings? No, there are not. So we're going to go down to exponents. 2 cubed, or 2 to the 3rd power, is 8. So we'll write that again. Times 2 plus 4 bracket 5. Sometimes I write things in different orders, but I would like to make sure that I go back and I check and I make sure everything is the same. Now, I did my exponents. I see if there's multiplication and division. There is multiplication and division. And I will do 2 times 8 first because it's multiplication. So it's going to be 16 divided by 10, right? And that's going to give us 4 plus 16. Now we're going to come here. We're going to see that we also have division. So we're going to divide. Is that right? Did I do that correct? 2 times 2 is 4 times 2. 8 times 16. Did I write that down the right way? Yes, we are going to have a decimal. Alright, so let's go back. 16 divided by 10 is 1.6. Okay, so I'll write that. As you guys see, I went back and I checked in my head. It wasn't the best. Maybe it didn't sound the best over the microphone, but I just checked to make sure my work is fine. Sometimes you're going to have decimal answers. Sometimes you're not. It's okay. Put it in your calculator, get the decimal, and continue to work. 4 plus 1.6 is 5.6. Alright, and that's gonna, we can do that now. Minus 5, okay, and 5.6, or 5 minus 5.6 is gonna leave us with 0.6. And that's gonna be a negative 0.6 because the 5.6 was bigger. One more, and we're finished, okay? Alright, now this one is going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be a fraction. So we're going to have 15 times 2, right? Plus 3 divided by 1. Alright. Then we're going to have 21 divided by 7 times 2 to the second power minus 4. Okay, now the way I like to do these, I break these up top and bottom. Okay, so I'll do this. I'll come over here, I'll come down here, I'll do my top over here, I'll do my bottom over here, and you'll see how we finish it up. So I break my top into 15 times 2 plus 3 divided by 1, and I write my bottom 21 divided by 7 times 2 squared minus 4, and I do these separately. Okay, do these separately. The first thing I see on the top, I always do the top first. 15 times 2 plus 3 divided by 1. No groupings to simplify. Yes, there's a grouping, but there's nothing to simplify. No exponents. I do see multiplication and division. Multiplication comes first, so it's going to be 30 plus 3 divided by 1. Next is going to be addition and division. I see division, so it's going to be 3 divided by 1, which is 3 plus 30. 30 plus 3 is 33. So now I come here and I write that 33. Now I do my bottom and I start all over with my checklist. Okay, groupings. Yes, we have groupings, but there's nothing to simplify inside of that grouping. 2 is 2. Exponent, yes, 2 to the second power is 4. 7 minus 4, 21 divided by 7. Multiplication and division first. Well, I see division, so I'm going to do division first. That's going to be 21 divided by 7, which is 3 times 4 minus 4. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 4 is 8. And my answer is 33 divided by 8. I don't turn this into a decimal unless I am given a decimal. Okay, so we're just going to keep this as a fraction. Don't turn it into a decimal. That's your final answer. Alright, you guys, I hope this helps. Make sure you watch this video twice if you have to. Prepared on Monday, we're going to have a little quiz on the video. Okay, just how do we do orders of operations, what will we do next, a small quiz. Alright, see you guys on Monday.